If you've clicked on this video, I take it you're studying A-level business or interested in starting and want to do really well and get a high grade. Let me know in the comments which it is. This video will give you 5 top tips on how to achieve a high grade, and if you stay till the end, I'll throw in 2 bonus tips. Let's make a start. Tip number 1, practice past paper questions. So this is really key in part of your revision. There's different ways that you can practice past paper questions as part of your revision, and it's good to kind of mix things up at times. So I strongly recommend that you do so under timed conditions. So choose a particular question and time yourself. And then afterwards, you would check the mark scheme to see how well you've done. And also you can learn and see additional points that you might not have included, but the examiners would also accept. Sometimes you might have an open book strategy, so you have your textbook open as well when you're answering the questions, so that gives you additional support. And then you can also check the mark scheme afterwards. When you're looking at the mark scheme, do look at the definitions. So these are the formal definitions, and also look at particular evaluation points that they've included, because some of these evaluation points do come up quite frequently. So it might be something like it depends on the elasticity of the good. So therefore, you might not have included that. And when you see that it's included, then you can also recognize if you see a similar style question that you could include it too. There might be times that you are not going to answer an entire question, but you're just going to create an essay plan for a big mark question. So that could be part of your revision as well. And then again, you check the mark scheme afterwards. Tip number 2, print off the spec. So the spec shows all the topics that you will learn for that unit, for that theme, for the entire duration of the course. So it's very important to print it off, or maybe have it in an electronic folder, but I do recommend printing it off because there's so many things you can do when you print it off. You can use a traffic light system. You could highlight topics that you're doing really well in, that you're really confident in, and highlight that in green, the ones that you're not so confident in yellow, and the ones that you really need to revisit and spend extra time on with a pink highlighter. You might want to also include evaluation points on your spec, so just make notes on it. The formulas for a given topic. So feel free to write all over your spec. It's yours once you print it off, but it can be very useful to use as part of your revision. Tip number 3, learn the definitions and the formulas. In regards to learning about the definitions, that information could come from your textbooks, from your revision book, and it's also about you gaining familiarity with the information and also practicing. You also need to learn about the formulas. So you need to learn the formulas from all of year 12 and year 13. What I would recommend is using a specification to help you, as well as your revision guide, to help you gain all the information on the formulas and create a formula sheet. So this formula sheet is something that you could make reference to and you could practice and you could try and remember them. That is something that might work, but it's very important that you know about the definitions and the formulas. Tip number 4, be organized. You are studying linear A levels where you will need to have your year 12 work as well as your year 13 work in one place. You need to know where it is. You need to have your class notes, the resources that were given in class, the mind maps that hopefully you've created for every topic, all in one place. So maybe you want to have a folder with dividers. That might help. In terms of also being organized, you might want to have a revision timetables. There's various apps that you could use to create revision timetables, but also when you're setting this up, do be realistic in terms of how much revision you're going to actually do. A revision timetable is a good way to visually see the time that you've dedicated to all of your subjects, and sufficient time is needed to be able to do this. And also, if there's a subject that you're struggling more with, then you could give it more time on your timetable for a given period of time. Being organised should also include creating essay plans for those big mark questions and using active recall methods such as flashcards. If you want to know more about active recall methods, then please do let me know in the comments, because I can create a video on that just to give you some more tips. Tip number 5, pay attention to the feedback you're given from your teacher in class tests. You should be aware of the developmental areas that you have and also what you did well in. Now, when it comes to the developmental areas, you should note them down and you should focus on those. So whether it's the fact that you need to improve your evaluation skills, your analysis, and then that's what you need to home into. But also, it could be that you haven't done very well in a particular area on the test. Let's say it was break even. So if that's the case, you need to make a note of that. You need to do some really intense revision on break even. That's using your textbook, that's using teacher T videos, that's using your revision book. And then you have that solid information on break even, let's say. Then you would go onto the exam board website and you would search for a question to do with break even, practice it, and then use a mark scheme to check. Or you could ask your teacher to see if they could check the question and also the answer for you. Bonus tip number 1, examiner reports. You will find these on the exam board website. Some exam boards, they're easier to access than others, but regardless, they're there. So the examiner reports, they have model answers from students who sat that paper in that given year. So it will show you A grade answer, a B grade answer. It will also show you answers that didn't really do that well and comments from the examiners in terms of what grade it would have been given and also what they could have done to do better. So there's so much you can learn from examiner reports. Bonus tip number 2, know how to structure your answers to exam questions. So whether that be your answer to a 4 marker, a 16 marker, 20 marker, 25 marker, dependent on your exam board, you need to know how to structure them. You need to know whether to evaluate or not to evaluate. You need to know when you put in your supported judgment. You should know this. So make sure you're familiar with this. The mark schemes can help you. There will be teacher T videos going through more essay structures, but this is very important for you to know. Thanks for watching this video and good luck with your studies. Until next time.